I get it, you're scrolling through endless mini PC listings, trying to figure out if any of them are actually worth the cash, and you're scared of ending up with a box that sits on your desk gathering dust. You've probably heard the hype about tiny machines that can replace a bulky tower, but you also know there are plenty of compact devices that barely manage a web browser and then start choking on a spreadsheet. So before you click Add to Cart, let's dig into the real-world story of the MINISFORUM MS01 S1260 and see whether it truly fits a serious worker play setup or if you'd be better off with a traditional desktop or a laptop. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest question most people ask is whether a mini PC can hold its own when you throw a few demanding tasks at it. The MS01 S1260 packs a 12th Gen Intel Core i5-12600H, which is the same silicon you'd find in many mid-range laptops. In everyday terms, that means you'll be cruising through multi-tab browsing, video calls, and standard office suites without any noticeable lag. I've seen users run 2 monitor setups with Adobe Photoshop open while simultaneously streaming a 4K video, and the machine stays responsive. The key is the 32 GB of DDR5 RAM and a 1 TB NVMe SSD. Both are generous for a device that's roughly the size of a small book. For anyone who needs to keep large project files, virtual machines, or a handful of development environments on hand, that memory and storage combo eliminates the typical out-of-RAM pauses you'd feel on a cheaper mini PC. Now, let's talk about the ports, because that's where a lot of mini PCs either win or fall flat. The MS01 S1260 offers two 10 gigabits per second SFP+ ports, two 2.5 gigabits Ethernet jacks, two USB 4 ports, HDMI, and a full suite of PCIe 4.0 slots, including a X16 slot that can accept a graphics card if you ever need that extra visual horsepower. In practice, this means you can connect a 4K monitor via HDMI, hook up a fast wired network for low-latency file transfers, and still have room for a USB-C dock or external SSD without needing a separate hub. One reviewer who runs a home media server mentioned that the dual 10 gigabits per second ports let them stream multiple 8-bit 4K streams to different rooms without any buffering, something most tiny boxes can't claim. Thermals are another frequent pain point. Small chassis often struggle to keep high-performance CPUs cool, which leads to fan whine or throttling under load. The MS01 S1260 uses a dual-fan design with a copper heat pipe that, according to user reports, keeps the i5 at respectable temperatures even when you're compiling code or rendering a short video clip. You'll hear the fans spin up, but the noise stays in the low to mid 30 dB range, quiet enough for a shared office or a home study. If you're planning to run intensive 3D rendering or long-duration gaming sessions, you'll notice the fan working a bit harder, but the throttling isn't severe enough to cripple productivity tasks. Upgrade ease is surprisingly straightforward. The chassis opens with a single thumb screw, exposing the M.2 slots, the PCIe X16 slot, and the RAM slots. Swapping the 1 TB SSD for a larger drive, or adding a second NVMe, is a quick 5-minute job, no need for a screwdriver set or delicate static-sensitive handling. For businesses that follow an asset refresh cycle, this means the unit can stay relevant for a few years without a full replacement. The downside is that the tiny form factor limits the size of a dedicated GPU. You're restricted to low-profile cards, which is fine for light creative work but not a solution for heavy GPU-bound tasks. So, who should actually consider buying this mini PC? If you're a remote professional who needs a solid, space-saving workstation for coding, data analysis, or design work that doesn't rely on massive GPU rendering, this device hits the sweet spot. It also appeals to small office IT admins who want an Intel vPro-compatible machine for remote management, something you rarely see in the consumer-grade mini PC market. The enterprise-grade storage support means you can attach high-performance NVMe drives and even U.2 drives for an extra layer of speed, which is handy for video editors who need rapid access to large footage files but don't need a full-blown workstation. On the flip side, if you're looking for a primary gaming rig, a high-end 3D workstation, or a machine that can replace a powerful laptop with a built-in battery, the MS01 S1260 isn't the right fit. The lack of an integrated GPU that can handle modern AAA titles means you'd have to invest in a low-profile graphics card, and even then you'll be limited by power and heat constraints. Likewise, for folks who prioritize absolute silence, say, A podcast studio where any fan hum is a problem. The audible fan under sustained load might be a deal-breaker. Another practical consideration is price versus value. The unit sits in a mid to high price bracket for mini PCs, largely because of the DDR5 memory and the extensive connectivity suite. If you compare it to a